So it's Miss Meyer for another episode of the Miss Meyer Show, and I had to not use my cool camera today because my battery died. So what we need to do is definitely, when we start, you need to make sure that you have your Louisiana history book, because we will be using that as we discuss the stuff that is going on. So we are going to be going from chapter 5, which is French Louisiana. Now, what we finished with last time, we finished with, I believe, talking about English turn, economics. We talked about all those kinds of things. So let's talk a little bit about John Law. So who was John Law? John Law was pretty much like, he was like a Kardashian, okay? He was pretty famous for doing absolutely nothing in where he was in Canada. He was born up in there, that kind of area. Well, after Antoine Crozat decided that he no longer wanted to be the proprietor of Louisiana, they gave it to someone else, and that someone was John Law. Now, John Law was determined to be much more successful than Crozat was, and he was going to make sure that he had all the things in place that was needed to have a successful colony in Louisiana. Now, John Law got most of his fortune, you know, because of his family, but he was a gambler, and he ended up losing quite a bit. Now, when he became the person that was running this charter, he got rid of the governor that Crozat had put into place, the guy by the name of Lepine. Now remember, Bienville was having all kinds of issues. He wasn't doing what he's supposed to do. He was giving jobs to his friends rather than people that really deserved them. And so when Law got in control, he put Bienville back in place. So that can show you right there what kind of government Law was going to have, or what kind of ruling Law was going to have. He created the Company of the West, and they received a 25-year monopoly over both Louisiana and Canada. Now, what was John Law having a monopoly over? As a proprietor, just like Antoine Crozat, John Law was going to support Louisiana. And in return, he was going to reap a lot of the benefits. So King Louis of France did not want to give Louisiana a whole bunch of money. He really didn't. He felt like he was just throwing it away. So he basically wanted to give someone else the opportunity to make money with Louisiana, but by doing that, they would have to fund it. They would be in control. It would be their money who was funding it. And when Louisiana made a profit, they would get some of it. Well, in this charter, which was called the Company of the West, Law could keep all the profits and the untitled lands. And so he was able to make a good bit of money, but there was a difference. And in that difference, Law would have to send at least 6,000 white settlers and 3,000 slaves to Louisiana within the first 10 years. If he failed to do, he would lose the charter. You know, this is the problem. Word was already getting out. Remember with the Pelican Girls, the word was already getting out that Louisiana was not the place to go. It was, you know, not a very safe place. The natives were not friendly. The weather was deplorable. The food, you know, at this point in time, we didn't have what we have today. But, you know, it was just not a good place. So people were like, I'm not going to Louisiana. So Law had a really, really difficult time getting people to come there and to come and move here. So he tried to first be honest and saying, hey, come to Louisiana. If you come here, you know, I'll give you some money, I'll give you land, you'll be cheap, you know. And so he was trying to be honest, but not everybody was listening, and not a ton of people were not coming. So then he started to be a little dishonest and was saying, you know, come to Louisiana, it's a beautiful place, all these other kind of lies, basically to get people to come here. Then he started to go a little, I don't know, a little off the wall. So his first way of getting people to come here was by being very honest and by giving them things to come here, giving them incentives to move here. One of his incentives were called concessions. or redemptions. And by getting people to come here with the concessions, that he was giving a free land and large land grants to wealthy Europeans, saying if you come to Louisiana, if you come here and you build a big home and you know, or build your house or bring your family and you promise to farm here, we'll give you huge plots of land for free. And you could grow whatever you want here and make money on it. And some people were enticed to come here. And in fact, that's where we get a lot of our big, huge plantation homes were started through this. But that wasn't everybody. People were like, nah, law. I mean, I heard it's kind of crazy there. I really don't want to do that. So then he started to go to the poor people of France and say, hey, you know you're poor and you're starving and you're dying in the streets, you know? What, you could come to Louisiana. If you come to Louisiana, you will get this redemption. And what a redemption was, it was basically able to start a new life. You know, you'd get a plot of land in Louisiana for a low cost. You would have a home help be built for you for a low cost. You could just start over, you know, could survive. All right, so let's just say this is Elsa, and Elsa has been a very bad girl, and she's just had a really, she's just not doing right. Elsa, I don't know what's wrong with you, but you better do what's right, okay, or you going to Louisiana. I need to go to Louisiana. I need a new start. Oh, she wants a fresh start, so we have to send her to Louisiana. Well, Elsa, do you have the money to pay for your voyage to Louisiana? No, I have no money. That's why I have to go to Louisiana. I need a fresh start. Okay, so what I can do for you as the company of the West Indies is I will pay for you to go to Louisiana. But when you go there, you will have to work for me. I will give you the, you know, the opportunity to buy your freedom in Louisiana, but in return for me paying for you to go there, you're gonna have to work on a piece of my land and help me turn a profit. And after so many years, you can have your own piece of land. How does that sound? That sounds great. I need a new start. All right, so you see, that's what we need to do. That's what was going on. So the the Company of the West was paying people's passage to Louisiana, and in return, those people would work for them, and for a period of years, they would have paid off their debt, and then they would have their own property. Now, here's the problem. Now, let's say, ooh, I need somebody else. Give me somebody else, Kate. This is the problem. So Elsa, hi Elsa, how do you like living in Louisiana and working my land? I love it. I needed a new start. I know. So what did you do? Like, what do you need something? Why are you here? I need some toilet paper for the bathroom because I have bad diarrhea from the mosquitoes. Well, that sounds like a problem, Elsa. I'll give you the toilet paper. Do you have the money to pay for it? No, I came to Louisiana because I needed a new start. Okay, Elsa, well, since you don't have the money to pay for the toilet paper, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna, you know, give it to you, but you've got to work for me an extra 10 days to pay for that toilet paper, okay? Okay. All right, so that's what was going on. They were having to pay, you know, they needed items, they needed supplies, they needed things like that. And so the Company of the West was saying, okay, well, I'll give it to you, but in return, you're gonna have to work for me for a little bit longer. So you can only imagine they were never, ever, ever free to live on their own. You know, if they got sick, like if Elsa got really sick, you know, she's got diarrhea, she needs all that toilet paper, she would need a doctor. So the Company of the West would say, okay, well, I'll pay for your doctor, but that's another year working for me. And people were locked into this kind of, you know, system. So obviously people did not want to come here. Laws, ideas of trying to get people here were not working. People knew he was lying. They knew that Louisiana was not this, you know, paradise that he was saying it was. They didn't want to come over here for the land because they were just, if they didn't have money, you know, the rich people, they were like, no, I don't want to go over there. I'm happy to stay here in France. The poor people were saying, no, I'd rather starve in the street than have to work for you, you know, for nothing for years. So what he did is he employed a bunch of guys that were called the Mississippi Bandits. And what these people did was basically they roamed the streets of Paris and kidnapped people, put them on a boat bound for Louisiana, and sent them there. And said, okay, you have to live in Louisiana now. And that was it. That's what their lives. They had to stay there forever. Now, as you can imagine, this was not a very popular thing, and people were becoming very aware of what was going on, this kidnapping of people sending to Louisiana. And people were really fearful. They wouldn't even go out in the streets at certain times at night because they were afraid they were going to get kidnapped and sent to Louisiana. Little children, if they were misbehaving, their parents would say, that's it, I'm going to send you to Louisiana. Kind of like, you know, like my mom, she would always tell me, like when I was growing up, if I didn't listen, which was rare because I was like the greatest kid ever. You just ask her, I was wonderful. I never gave her any trouble. But anyways, you know, my mom would say, I'm taking away your beeper, which I guess a bunch of you probably don't even know what a beeper is. But when you were like in the 90s, a beeper was, if you had a beeper, you were like, wow, okay? And what it is, it's like this little device that you wear on you clip it on your purse or your jeans, because that's how I had it, and I was like, I'm telling you, it was like high rolling, okay? And so if somebody needed you, they would call your beeper number, and they would put in their number, and you would see it pop up on your beeper, and you would have to call that number back, and you'd be like, you know, hey, did you call me? But my daughter was like, what was the purpose of it? Oh, I mean, why? But that's what it was, okay? That was a beeper. And so if I did not listen, she would threaten to take my beeper away. And I was like, no, don't do that. Well, in this time period of the French Louisiana, the French would threaten their children and say, you know, if you don't behave, I'm going to send you to Louisiana, because that was a threat. It was like a really scary thought. You know, kids were like, no, don't send me to Louisiana. And some bad kids actually got sent here. Like my husband, for example, he was a horrible child, a horrible teenager. I knew him my whole life. I've known him, and he was really bad. So he was the type of kid that would have gotten sent to Louisiana, okay? So Law was trying to get all these people here because if he didn't do that, he would lose his charter. And if he lost the charter, he would lose money. And Law was a businessman. He wanted to encompass a huge amount of property so that he could make a profit, okay? So, next thing we're going to talk about is the new capital, okay? So, when Louisiana was first established by Bienville, the mouth of the Mississippi River, and remember, by LaSalle, he set up Fort Maurepas. Now, remember, Fort Maurepas was not very profitable. It was not a good place. Larry, now, so when LaSalle set up Fort Maurepas, it was just not profitable at all. So, what Law decided that he should do was to set up a new capital. And in this new capital, it should be located somewhere that would really protect France's interest in Canada and along the Mississippi River. Now, the way that he was going to do that was by setting it up at the mouth of the Mississippi River, saying as though, you know, they could not enter into the Mississippi River without the permission of France. And so they decided to put the capital city right at the mouth of the Mississippi River, and that was New Orleans. So New Orleans was the capital before Baton Rouge was. When Katrina hit, gosh, was that 10 years ago? 10 years ago? Or over 10 years ago. Everybody was like, oh, I'm blaming the Corps of Engineers, or I'm blaming Governor Blanco, and I'm blaming President Bush, and all this kinds of stuff. And I told everybody, well, I'm blaming Bienville, because it was his idea. And everybody was like, you're so weird. And I was like, I know, but that's me. But still, that was Bienville's thought process. He wasn't thinking about hurricanes and huge floods and things like that. He was thinking of protection. He was thinking of protecting France's interests and his as well. So the first place that was kind of like established in New Orleans, or our new capital, was a place called the Place des Armes. Am I saying that right? I don't think I am. Or I always call it the Palace of Arms, because that's what it's called in English. But that was the first place. Then we had the area that we know today as the Vieux Carré, or the French Quarter, that was established. The French Quarter is super old. A lot of those places in the French Quarter go back to the very beginnings of Louisiana history with French Louisiana. There was huge fires, which we'll talk about later, that destroyed a lot of it, but some little bitty areas are still standing. That's, you know, around during this time. New Orleans was never the kind of place that was not based on fun and invent, you know. Like, okay, say that you're going to Disney World and you're driving there with your family. You know, eventually you're going to have to stop and get gas, and you're going to have to stop and use the bathroom, or you're going to stop and get food and lunch. Well, the way that they traveled back then was by ship, and eventually along the way they were going to have to stop to get supplies. They're going to have to stop to, you know, get items or things that they needed, and they would stop in New Orleans. So New Orleans was always this city that was focused on entertainment. It was focused on profiting. It was focused on things like that. Rachel Jackson, when Andrew Jackson was here for the War of 1812, he wanted her to stay. He was like, stay with me, don't go. And she said, no, because this place is like Sodom and Gomorrah. Because really, that's what New Orleans was always about, pleasure and fun. It really was. It was always about that. It was never, ever based on, you know, I mean, it was always about trade and things like that, but it was not, well, it wasn't Pennsylvania, okay? It never was. And we never will be, right? We're proud to be in Louisiana, right? So, Louisiana was also called the Crescent City, or New Orleans was called the Crescent City because it is built along the banks of the Mississippi River. And that's why it's called, you know, the Crescent City. All right, so what I'm going to do now is when we have class on Monday, or you'll be watching this today, so if you had class today, whenever you're watching it, I hope that makes sense. I'm probably confusing you. But this week in class, we're going to go over the Mississippi Bubble, the Code Noir, and I have a helper who will be talking about the new governor that comes around after Bienville. And I think next week we will be able to begin on the Chapter 5 test, where we will end it. So please make sure that you have your textbook, you're doing the assignments. If you have any questions, please let me know. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Miss Myers Show. I'll see you next week. Bye! Vivian, what's the code word going to be for this week? What's it going to be? What? What is it? Oh, Minnie Mouse is the code word? So it's Minnie Mouse? Okay, say bye.
Bye.
Hi guys, so what we're going to be doing today for this bonus portion of the Miss Myers Show is that I received a bunch of questions from you guys that you wanted me to answer. So we're going to play Let's Ask Miss Myers. So these are all questions that were submitted by you, and I have them here on my iPad that I had pulled them up. All right, so first question is, where do I like to shop? So I have a couple of favorite stores. My favorite store in the mall is probably Neiman Marcus or Nordstrom's. I like both of those. They're my two favorites. And then I also like Sephora. Surprise, surprise. I love their lipsticks and, you know, nail polish and all that kind of good stuff. I do love to shop there. I also like the Disney store, but not so much because my kids drive me crazy in there and I usually leave very stressed out. Okay, next one is, when is my birthday? July 23rd is my birthday, and I will be 35 this year, which is really hard for me to handle. I'm not dealing with it well at all. I'm psyching myself up for it. So I'm starting to like tell people that I'm already 35 so that I can prepare myself so when I really turn 35, I'm not freaking out completely, because I'm really 35 is like it's just driving me crazy. That's right. What is my favorite TV show? Oh, I really don't know. I mean, I like Downton Abbey, but that's probably it. I don't watch a lot of TV. I have it on in the background, but I'm not going to be sitting there and really watching it. I like movies, and I like old movies. So I haven't found anything that is pretty recent that I want to watch. I mean, I think the last thing that I watched, yeah, I don't like Grey's Anatomy. My daughter loves Grey's Anatomy. That's not one. But what I like probably, like I said, the last movie I watched was Inside Out. Of children's television, the majority of the time, I'm watching Nick Jr. Bless you! Lion Guard, The Little Mermaid, constantly over and over and over again. That's what I'm watching most of the time. In fact, as you can see, we love The Little Mermaid. What is your name? Ariel. Did you know that? Her name was Ariel. Well, hello, Ariel. Well, who is your favorite person? Who do you love the most in the whole wide world? No, say it loud. Say it loud. No, not. Who do you love more, mommy or daddy?
Or Belle.
Belle! Good, go ahead. Go tell Belle. Say, go make me some food. Change my diaper.
No.
Say, go make me some food. Change my diaper. Anyway, all right, here's the next one. What is my favorite book? What? Are you guys serious? You don't know that? That's definitely from one of my new kids. My favorite book is also my favorite movie, and my favorite movie has my favorite actress, and my favorite actress is my daughter's name. So my favorite book is Gone with the Wind. So that was obviously a new student asked that question. Okay, next one. Why do you always paint your nails red? For real? Because it's like my signature color, right? That's why I have like 10 bottles of red nail polish. In fact, you know what I did? I had a bottle of nail polish in the pocket of my robe. I don't know if I told you guys this. And I took off the robe, you know, just took it off because it was getting hot. And the nail polish flew out of my robe pocket, hit the wall, and splashed everywhere. It was really a bad day. I was really upset. But we were able to get it off most. Not really, but some of it. We got some of it off. All right. Let's see. What's the next one? I'm scrolling through. Some of these I can't answer. Okay. Okay, here we go. Trying to look through. Let's see. That's not gonna work. What did I want to be other than a teacher? Oh, that's a good question. I'm gonna like shock you here. What I wanted to be when I grew up, I had a couple of things. Like first, I really did want to be a teacher. I really did. I always did. In fact, my cousins were my forced students for many years. Like I would make them under physical threat be my student, and they would have to listen. I was always the teacher, they were the students, and I was like this mean teacher. I was like always yelling at them and stuff, and they had to be my students. There was always that. But if I wasn't a teacher, I wanted to be, in fact, I was in college for this for a whole year. I wanted to be a psychiatrist, and then I wanted to be a nurse. But I can't handle all that gory stuff like that. And when I was a little girl, I used to want to be an actress. I wanted to be famous, like Vivian Lee. But I ended up being a teacher, which is what I always wanted to do, actually. And I wanted to be a mom and a teacher. Those are my big main goals in life, always. I always wanted kids. So my dreams came true, right? So what would I change about my life if I could? Wow, that's deep. Wow. What would I change? I don't know. I believe everything happens for a reason. So I don't know if I would change anything. I would probably wear more sunscreen when I ran outside because I have lots of wrinkles and I don't like them. I've got all kind of wrinkles like right here and right here. Just ugh. And ladies, the sun causes wrinkles. Protect your skin. So I would probably wear more sunscreen. Definitely. That's what I would probably do. Sunscreen. Okay. Let's see. Do you play any sports? No, not really. I'm not very good at sports. I was always picked last for every team in school. Always. I was last picked. Always. I run, but I'm not a very fast runner. I'm pretty much like a long distance runner. I'm not a speed demon by any way, but no, I'm not like a good, I don't play any sports well. Although I'm very competitive. Especially with my husband. I'm super competitive, but not a sports player. All right, couple more. Let's see. I'm just looking through. Do I have any brothers or sisters? No, I'm an only child, sadly. I wish I had brothers and sisters, but I don't. I'm an only child. Let's see. What is my nickname? Okay, my nickname, I get called Mom a lot. Believe it or not, I don't go by Miss Meyer 100% of the time. When I was a little girl, my dad he still calls me that too. He still calls me Jenny Penny because my name is Jennifer. For those of you who don't know, my first name is Jennifer Rebecca. And my dad called me Jenny Penny And I was always Jenny. In fact, to my family, I'm all still Jenny. To my nieces and nephews, I'm Aunt Jenny. You know, that's how I go by. But the majority of people that I know and, you know, work with and talk to, they all call me Jen. Just Jen. But, you know, 100%, I'm pretty much called Mom. Or domestic diva, teacher extraordinaire, right? What's my name, Vivian?
Mom.
Mom. That's right. All right, one more question, so let me find a good one. Let's see. We gotta find a good one. But it's gotta be a good one. Some of these questions, y'all, I can't... Okay. Okay. Like, I'm not gonna tell you who I'm voting for. That's my private thing. I'm not going to tell you that. That's, you know, your personal decision. And I'm not going to tell you. Maybe, I don't know, 10 years from now, if you come back and you ask me, if I remember, you know, I'll tell you. Because I'll be 45. Okay, let's see. One more. One more.
Mom.
What is my favorite smell? What, baby? Okay, let me tell you this. I have a phobia. My phobia, I'll just tell you some of my phobias. These are my phobias, okay? I don't like fish. I'm very afraid of fish. Very afraid of fish. And I'm not even joking. Like, some people are like, you know, people are like, I'm so scared of that. I am really afraid of fish. Like, 100%. When we were, my kids, we live in New Orleans, so, you know, I'd go to the aquarium. It was not my, I was like, they're like, you want to touch the touch pool? Like, what? Are you crazy? I would never do that. And I always have a fear that that tunnel that you walk through is going to collapse and the fish are going to come and touch me and something's going to happen. I hate fish. And I'm really afraid of it. And I don't like frogs. I'm very afraid of frogs too. I don't know why. I did one time when Belle, my oldest, was a baby. I left her outside because a frog was on the glass door. And so I was really scared and I got in the house really quickly and left her outside. I mean, I could still see her. You know, it wasn't like I just closed the door. We had glass door. And my husband was in the other room. And I was like, just wait there, Daddy's coming. Because I was so like paralyzed with fear from a frog. I'm really scared of frogs. And she says, like, yeah. And I also don't like stinky things or smelly people. I have a real problem with smelly people. It's really difficult for me to, when I go to Disney World, to not spray them with deodorant as we're standing in line, because we always go in the summer because, you know, I'm a teacher, so we, you know, there's always somebody that's just, you know, it smells pretty bad, and so I'm always like, oh, that smells bad. So this is what I came up with. This is my plan, because you can't spray people with deodorant. That's just rude. That's what my husband says, but whatever. I think they'd be appreciative, right? No. But so I have like I get those little trial sizes of stick deodorant, you know, the little ones that you can get that big, and I'll smell it. So if I smell somebody that's really bad in Disney World, I'll just hold that up to my nose and be like, it smells so bad, because I can't handle stinkiness. I just don't like things that stink. I like the good smell of clean stuff. I guess that's why I'm always focusing on how bad people smell at that time. That's it, you know. All right, guys, if you have any other things that you would like to see on the Miss Myers Show, I did have a couple of requests for some kind of jelly bean thing, which I didn't go to the mall to go get the jelly bean thing. So, but when I do go to the mall, I'll probably get that. If you guys have anything that you would like to add to the Miss Myers Show, any questions you would like answered, maybe next time we do a Ask Miss Myers segment, let me know. I'll be happy to put them in the show. And I will see you guys next week.